I want to introduce Jessica Alfaro. She's the Managing Director of Technology Solutions at Acuity, but she's also a 2021 graduate of the ACT-IAC Voyagers Leadership Development Program, and it's through that association with ACT-IAC that Jessica and I crossed paths. And then interestingly, as Jessica and I were talking before we started this recording, I learned that she's a DJ, and I really can't wait for an opportunity to catch her do her DJ-ness and see what that looks like. So Jessica, thank you for sharing that about yourself, and also thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited about the conversation we're about to have.
So Jessica, for those who haven't met you, and even for me, who we've only had a few interactions, talk about your background, who you are, what you do, and where you're from.
All right, so I was born and raised in the DC area, so I've lived in the DC metro area my whole life. My family, my parents, they're from Central America, so they're immigrants from El Salvador and Honduras. And so, yeah, we've pretty much lived in the area and have enjoyed, I can't think of anywhere else where I would want to live. Honestly, I've actually thought about it quite a few times. But yeah, just that, so that's, just where I've been in this area. And then, growing up, it was a little tough for me in school. I wasn't really the best student ever. So, higher education, it was not the traditional path that most may have gone down. So I, did not go to college right after high school and, did various, like retail jobs and things like that. But I think a lot of, my path and trajectory to where I am today really is the people that I met. So I was able to meet a lot of great folks that helped provide guidance and direction for me, like providing, hey, how about you join temp agencies, or how about, you get some exposure that way to different careers. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And, surprisingly enough, never really thought I would go into IT, although I feel that some of the traits that I had growing up in liking to build things. So like every time my dad would like buy new furniture or something like that, and we were, going through the instructions and building things together, or when I got my first computer and it stopped working one day, and then I decided to open it up and mess with it, and I fixed it, and then it was like, oh wow, this was fun. And so yeah, it's interesting how that happened. But yeah, I got an opportunity at a few companies through temp agencies, and was able to start off at GTSC as, just playing different roles in that, from warehousing and putting computer inventory out there, to the actual integration, to testing. And then that just kind of spiraled down this IT path that I really enjoyed. And yeah, so it was an interesting journey. So yeah, didn't go to college until after I was already in an IT role. So I was working at General Dynamics, and had a great opportunity, and they had great tuition reimbursement. Nice. And that kind of started me down the, getting some college experience and getting that under my belt. But that was a 16-year journey. So it was not something that it was challenging early on. Yeah, I'm a single mom, so my son came into my life, and so that kind of made going to school a little challenging, and trying to juggle school and work. So it took a while, and not until just a couple years ago did I actually finish my degree. And so I have my degree in business administration with a concentration in management. That's what I started early on. I kind of felt like business was probably the right place for me, because I'm not a a technologist per se, where I get into the nuts and bolts of like the actual implementation of the technology itself, but the strategy and planning around all of that, and I think the management of it. So for me, I feel like it was a good fit, and I've been able to leverage what I've learned. So it's again slightly different. I kind of think of those college students that are coming into these topics without any context and trying to learn operations management or learn project management and not have that experience. So I thought that doing the reverse of what I did, of jumping into the workforce first and kind of gaining that experience when I did actually take the college courses, I was like, oh wow, yes, I do this, and you're able to relate it. And so I felt like it worked well for me, is basically, so non-traditional, but in a way I think it worked best for me. And having my college degree never really stopped me from moving up. So I was able to constantly grow in my career. And then I got to a certain point where it was like, okay, yeah, I think let me just finish these last few classes that I need to finish and just get my degree and, kind of check that box and feel that, I accomplished, something. So.
Yeah, was it a manager or mentor or somebody that really encouraged you to finish that off, or you just one day realized, wow, I've taken a few through the years just trying to keep my education up, and then oh my gosh, I'm almost done.
It was a little bit of all of that. So yeah, I had a mentor or a friend of mine actually that we were just talking about what type of training or what type of certifications do we want to go after. And he's like, well, you still haven't gotten your degree yet. And so it was a very great conversation. It was something I needed to hear. And so that was one. The other is, I have my son, he's 17 years old. And, I think just, I want him to go to college, and I want him to be proud of me and know that, I did it, and that I was able to, considering the challenges, get it done. And so I think it was a combination of all of that. And I was being bid as key on proposals, and not having that degree kind of made it feel like it wasn't strong enough. In knowing the experience that I brought to the table, and the fact that a piece of paper just saying that I had that, solidifying what that experience that you have. So that also was kind of a kick in the butt for me to just kind of say, you know what, I just need to get this done and check the box. So.
Sure, absolutely. So through your career then, because you kind of came up non-traditionally, and you tried a bunch of things, when did you decide that you liked, the role you're in now, which is kind of solutions architecture, when did that come to your attention, and when did you think that was something you wanted to do?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, just not thinking that IT was going to be the path for me. So it was interesting because, I mentioned temp agencies, and, I was working for George Mason's executive MBA program. And through that, I met a lot of managers that were in the MBA program. And, they would say, Jessica, you're a hard worker, you've got good work ethic. Like, I think you would be great. Do you know what a security clearance is? Do you know what configuration management is? So they start throwing these terms at me, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what that is. And so they were like, don't worry, let's bring you in for an interview and let's just see how it goes. Just the interview experience alone is good enough to, just hear what people are asking you. And so I fell into this, is really what it, so as I said, one of the students in that program lined me up with an interview, and I had a few managers line me up with some interviews. And coming out of that, it was a great, somebody gave me a chance, because I really had no experience at all. And I don't know what it was that they saw in me, but they were just like, we're going to give her a chance. They actually extended an offer to me right away.
Wow.
And so my first role was configuration manager. And so it was like asset management, configuration management, and so I grew my wings there. It was, project management, it was, ITIL and service management. So there were a lot of concepts that I was learning. Everyone was talking ITIL and incident management, change management, all of these terms. And so then you go and get certified, and you're learning more about what you're doing. And 5 years later, there was just this comfort that I have, and you just get experience with certain tools, Microsoft and various, service management tools that I was playing around with at the time, to the point where now it just happened. And so
Well, that's awesome, though. I mean,
yeah.
that is a story that helps give hope to people who are challenged, right? If they're having a challenging time finding the right role, just keep trying, and you're going to find the right thing will come along, and you just got to be ready to be willing to take a risk and try it out yourself.
Yeah, and that's something that I know as a manager now, in looking at when when I'm interviewing and looking at skills, and just the eagerness to want to learn, and there's just certain traits that you see in people, that go-getiveness, that they want something, they're hungry for it, they're going to do whatever it is that they can do to be successful in that role that they take on. And so I'm grateful for all of the people in the past that have given me an opportunity, because I think without that opportunity, obviously I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So grateful for that.
That's pretty awesome. So through the course of your career, is there something that you have witnessed so somebody came to you, Jessica, and said, hey, today you get to make a change to something we're doing, or at a bare minimum, make us think that we should change it, right? Bring it up as a topic of thought that we should all kind of consider. What's something you've witnessed in your career that if you would change it, you would really try to move something forward?
Yeah, I think one of the big things, it's funny, I was just having this conversation with somebody earlier, about customer relationships, and the fact that early in my career, so the past 20 years of my career mainly been on the delivery side, and more in the trenches of the delivery side. So I've always had management that did more of the customer relationship interactions. And now, being in the role I am in now, and the importance of customer relationship management, and just what that means, and how you do that. And I think if I would have, I would have changed that perception of, I kind of let my managers handle that, and never really built that skill for myself until when it actually is time for you to take on that role. And then it's like, oh wait, I'm not comfortable yet, or I'm not sure how to interact. So it's like, I kind of feel that giving more exposure to some of the junior staff on teams, and just exposure to clients. I think a lot of managers want to manage direct tasking to individuals, and kind of manage the message and all of that. So I think a little bit more flexibility in just how you're able to interact with your customers and your stakeholders a little more, when you're, you're more in the weeds and in the details of delivery. But I think those relationships are super important, and something I wish I would have embraced earlier in my career, which is now something that is, it's still a work in progress.
Yeah, well, something for managers and mentors to consider, right, when they're working with people. I agree. There are so many things that we do. We always, it's funny, I've been in the same business as you, where we try to hide those people in the background, right? So that are doing stuff, but then that means we're not preparing them when they move up in roles where they do have to interact directly with customers. So
yes.
That's a great change. So Jessica, what's next for you? I mean, I'm not saying you're leaving Acuity by any means, but how are things are going? What's the future look like? Are there any big things that you're trying to accomplish, or anything new for you?
Yeah, I feel I'm in such a great place in my career. So I feel super blessed. The ACT-IAC Voyagers experience was an amazing experience. I'm so glad that I went through that. The people that I met, the opportunities that Acuity has given me have been amazing. I've been with the company for 12 years in January. So it's been a long time here. And so far, there's no desire to leave because I feel there's always an opportunity.
Mm.
And, I mentioned earlier that I kind of wear three hats right now in being managing director for our technology solutions group. Also, I am a lead for our performance office that manages our ISO and CMMI and our corporate certifications, and then also playing that solutions architect role for IT strategy for our technical approaches to proposals and things that we're going after. And so it's a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel that I could go down any path and really grow that and figure out what that means in the long run. And so what I love about my experiences so far is that every few years, it's always been something new. And every time, and I tell folks this a lot, that if you would have asked me last year what I would be doing now, my answer probably would have been different.
Mm.
Which is interesting. So the fact that I'm director of the technology, I'm managing all of this stuff. It's all amazing opportunities, and so those experiences have opened up a wow, like I could be the COO of a company. I mean, knowing how a company operates at all levels, and just using some of the experience that I've gained from my work with the ISO stuff, and looking across our organization, and how we do recruiting, how we do HR, how we do all of these things, going after work. So that's opened up possibilities of, okay, maybe I can be a COO one day. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. But I've always said I wanted to be an enterprise architect, and so I think I'm getting there as well, just from the solutions architect side of things, but definitely want to expand that more. And so yeah, so that's that's where I'm going. Maybe a deeper role on the technology side, or more from the business operations side of things. So we'll see
That's
what the future holds.
that's amazing. The sky's the limit. So, well, Jessica, thank you for coming onto the program today. It's been great catching up with you and talking with you, and I look forward to seeing what the future has for you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time.